All right, so are you ready to dive deep into the world of 50 Cent?
I am.
Because we're not just talking about the rapper, we're talking about the entrepreneur, the strategist, the guy who built an empire. And we're dissecting his book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, to figure out what really makes his approach to success tick.
You know, it's funny, when you hear about people rising to fame and fortune, you don't often hear about the times they fall flat on their face. But 50 Cent actually says, most successful people, they actually have more losses than wins.
Yeah, that's not exactly something you see on a motivational poster, is it? So what's the takeaway here for someone who's maybe just starting out
No.
or hitting some roadblocks?
Well, he's not saying go out there and fail a bunch, but he is making the point that anyone who's achieved something significant has probably messed up a lot along the way. The key is, what did they learn from those losses?
Well, speaking of learning from losses, he talks about a time when he was choosing between two record labels. J Records, which seemed like the safer bet, and Interscope, which was more of a gamble at the time.
Right, and he ended up going with Interscope, even though it was riskier. He really trusted his gut feeling and his vision for his own career. And that gamble, it paid off big time.
Yeah, it did. So it's like he's saying, learn from your past, but don't let it make you afraid to take a chance when it feels right. You can't be so scared of failing that you never even try.
Exactly. And this is where things get really interesting, because 50 Cent, he has this huge issue with the idea of entitlement. It's like his biggest pet peeve. Really credits his success to hard work and taking ownership of his own life. He's basically saying nobody owes you anything. Get out there and earn it.
Okay, I can definitely see how that no-nonsense attitude
Yeah.
fits with this whole image. But what does that actually look like in action? Were there any situations where this entitlement thing came up?
Oh, absolutely. He tells this story about Bangham, one of the guys from G Unit. Bangham was constantly causing trouble on tour, disrupting the whole crew, acting like the rules didn't apply to him.
Yeah, I'm guessing 50 Cent didn't just let that slide.
Nope. He sent Bangham home, which is a pretty bold move when it's someone you're close to and working with so closely.
So what's the deeper message there for everyone else?
I think it's about setting boundaries and having standards, even with your friends and inner circle. 50 Cent is saying that success comes from discipline and holding people accountable, even when it's tough.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that trap of letting things slide because you don't want to rock the boat or whatever.
Right, and this all ties into what 50 Cent calls the Homeboy complex. It's this pull to surround yourself with people from your past, your old neighborhood, even when it might not be the best thing for your future.
It sounds like he knows this firsthand because he actually bought Mike Tyson's mansion in Connecticut. And I remember reading that he felt like he brought his old neighborhood there with him.
Yeah. He admits that he was afraid to completely cut ties with his roots. But then he contrasts that with the story of Jam Master Jay, who stayed in his old neighborhood and was tragically murdered. It's a reminder that loyalty can hold you back, or even put you in danger.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, right? Trying to stay true to where you came from, while still reaching for something more. What would you say is the takeaway for someone trying to navigate that?
I think it comes down to recognizing when loyalty might be holding you back from your full potential. Sometimes, to achieve your goals and stay safe, you have to make tough choices about who and what you keep in your life.
That's deep.
It is.
You know, it's interesting how 50 Cent talks about knowing your value. He's all about demanding what you deserve, not settling for less. It seems like a simple concept, but I feel like it's something a lot of people struggle with.
Absolutely. And it's in every aspect of life. Business deals to creative collaborations, even personal relationships. It's about having that self-awareness and confidence to say, hey, this is what I bring to the table. I'm not going to let anyone undervalue me.
Well, he actually tells this wild story about a meeting that he had with Todd Moskowitz from J Records.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Moskowitz was trying to pressure him into a deal that wasn't in his outward interest.
Yeah, he even ended up running out of the meeting. He knew what he was worth and wasn't going to be bullied into something that didn't feel right. It takes guts to walk away from a big opportunity like that. But it shows how much he believes in his own value.
I think that's such a powerful lesson, especially for young entrepreneurs or creatives who are just starting out. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of a potential deal and forget to ask yourself if it truly aligns with your goals and values.
He also highlights the importance of prioritizing equity over upfront payment. Uses his vitamin water deal as a perfect example of this.
Yeah.
Instead of taking a big lump sum up front, he chose to take a stake in the company. which ended up being worth millions when they sold to Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's a game changer.
It really is. It shows the power of thinking long-term and betting on yourself.
And it's not just about the money either. 50 Cent also talks about how he's turned down tons of endorsement deals for things like alcohol and cigarettes, even though they would have paid a lot of money. It's a testament to his integrity and self-awareness. He knows his brand is built on a certain image, and he's not willing to compromise his values or his personal well-being for a quick payday.
So it makes me wonder, though, how do you balance that know your worth attitude with the need to evolve and adapt? Because the world's constantly changing and you have to keep up, right?
That's a great question. 50 Cent actually addresses this directly with his evolve or die philosophy. You can't get complacent or stuck in your ways, especially in industries like music and entertainment that are constantly shifting.
He uses Lloyd Banks as an example of what happens when you refuse to evolve. Another member of G Unit,
Right.
Banks got stuck in a certain era of hip-hop and wouldn't adapt his style or try anything new.
He became what 50 Cent calls a Banks, essentially someone who's stuck in the past and can't keep up with the present.
So how do you know when it's time to evolve or switch things up? Because it can be hard to let go of something that's worked for you in the past.
It's about staying aware of the landscape, the trends, the competition. Are you still relevant? Are you pushing yourself creatively? Are you learning new skills? 50 Cent himself had to adapt his public image. After receiving backlash for his initial gangsta persona, he realized that to achieve his long-term goals, he needed to evolve and present a more multifaceted image.
So it's about being strategic and intentional with your evolution. It's not just about blindly following trends, it's about understanding how to leverage change to your advantage.
Exactly. It's about having the self-awareness to know when it's time to shed an old skin and embrace something new. It's about being willing to step outside your comfort zone and take risks, knowing that growth often comes with discomfort.
Now, 50 Cent's definition of a hustler is super interesting to me. It's obviously about hard work and dedication, but he emphasizes that it's more than just grinding for the sake of it. It's about finding passion in the work itself.
Yes. He talks about how he genuinely enjoys the long hours, the studio sessions, even the challenges and setbacks. He actually gets more excited about setting someone else up for a score in basketball than scoring himself, which perfectly captures his approach to mentoring in business.
It's not just about the outcome, it's about the process. He's actually finding joy in the hustle itself. It's a very different perspective than the work until you burn out mentality you often hear.
Right. He challenges the idea that hustling has to be all-consuming and fueled by external factors like money or fame. He talks about how some rappers need substances to get through recording sessions, while he finds that internal drive and discipline are what truly sustain him.
It's like he's saying you have to find something that fuels you from within, a passion that keeps you going, even when things get tough. It can't just be about chasing external reward.
I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling of burnout when you're solely focused on the destination. But 50 Cent's approach is about finding meaning and fulfillment. In the journey itself, it's about having a purpose that drives you and keeps you motivated.
He also spends a good chunk of the book talking about the importance of building a strong crew. And he's very real about the challenges that come with that, especially dealing with betrayal.
This is a recurring theme in his life. He has this deep-seated fear of betrayal that stems from his past experiences.
Yeah, he's incredibly cautious about who he trusts and lets into his inner circle.
He talks about how his leadership style has to adapt, depending on the person he's working with. For instance, he had to set firm boundaries with Bam, but with Omari Hardwick, he took a more supportive and encouraging approach.
It makes sense, right? Different people respond to different types of leadership. It's about understanding the individual and figuring out what motivates them.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating how he talks about the death of his manager, Chris Lightly, as a turning point in his approach to trust.
Oh, yeah. He considered Lightly to be someone he could truly rely on, and losing him was a huge blow. It forced him to confront his own fears and anxieties around betrayal.
It makes you wonder, though, did he really learn to trust again after that? Or did he retreat even further into that self-reliance he talks so much about?
It's a really good question. He talks about building this strong crew. But if he can't fully trust anyone, how does that actually work in practice?
It's almost like a paradox, right? He needs people he can depend on to build his empire. But his fear of betrayal makes it hard for him to fully let anyone in.
It makes you wonder how he navigates that tension in his personal and professional life.
It definitely highlights the complexity of human relationships and how even someone as successful as 50 Cent still wrestles with these universal challenges.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the internal game of hustling, the mindset, the drive, the resilience. But 50 Cent also goes into how you present yourself to the world, the importance of image and perception.
He actually believes that projecting an image of success can be a powerful tool, especially in competitive environments like the music industry.
He has this amazing anecdote about getting into Bentley's, this super exclusive nightclub in Manhattan. And the doormen were notoriously tough.
Yeah, they wouldn't let just anyone in.
But 50 Cent, being the resourceful guy he is, borrowed a friend's fancy car, knowing that it would change how the doormen perceived him.
And it worked.
He got right in. It's a perfect example of how perception can literally open doors for you.
It's not about being fake or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding that in certain situations. How you present yourself can have a huge impact on how people treat you and the opportunities you get.
It's almost like playing the game strategically.
Exactly. He also talks about how luxury cars and watches aren't just about showing off wealth. They can be strategic tools to command respect and influence people's perceptions, especially in business settings.
He even has this funny story about seeing a burning Rolls Royce,
Oh, yeah.
realizing that people are more likely to help you if you're driving a nice car. If he was in his Ferrari, people would be tripping over themselves to help. But if he was in a beat-up old car, they might not even notice him.
It's a hilarious example, but it makes a valid point. Those visual cues can subconsciously influence how people treat you, even if they don't realize it.
So it's not about being materialistic. It's about understanding the game and using those cues to your advantage. It's about sending the right signals.
Right. And it's not just about flashy displays of wealth either. He learned a really valuable lesson from observing Bruce Willis.
Wait, what? Bruce Willis? What does he have to do with all of this?
50 Cent noticed that Bruce Willis spoke very softly, which actually made people lean in closer to hear him.
Oh, wow.
It was counterintuitive, but it was a subtle way of commanding attention and projecting power.
That's really interesting. It's like the quiet confidence thing.
Exactly. It's about mastering those nonverbal cues and understanding how they can impact the way you're perceived. 50 Cent even adopted that technique himself, finding that the quieter he spoke, the more people listened.
So it's not just about what you say, it's how you say it right. It's about using those subtle cues to your advantage.
Absolutely. And he emphasizes how important this is. When dealing with executives and business partners, they're constantly observing your body language and how you present yourself.
Yeah.
A simple nod or change in posture can communicate that you're engaged and receptive.
It's like you're speaking a whole other language
Yeah.
without even realizing it.
It's fascinating, right? It makes you wonder how much of our communication is actually nonverbal and how we can become more aware of those signals.
And maybe even use them to our advantage, just like 50 Cent did. It's like a secret weapon in the game of success.
You know, another thing that struck me about his approach to success is his embrace of competition. It's like he thrives on it.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't shy away from a challenge. It's almost like competition fuels him to be better.
He actually uses his competitors' successes as inspiration. He'd make mental lists of his favorite songs or creative moments from other artists and use them as benchmarks for his own work. If his music wasn't as good as what was out there, he'd keep working at it until it was...
It's almost like he's competing against himself, as much as anyone else, always trying to outdo his previous accomplishment.
He tells this amazing story about recording his second album, The Massacre. His label wasn't confident in his marketing strategy, and then the album leaked early, which was a huge setback.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So what did he do?
Instead of getting discouraged, he decided to create his own competition. He released a mixtape to build buzz for the album and prove his label wrong.
And it worked.
It did.
The mixtape was a massive hit, which ultimately helped make The Massacre a huge success.
It's a brilliant example of how to turn a potential failure into a win. It's about having that entrepreneurial spirit and figuring out how to make the best of a tough situation.
He's not afraid to take risks and bet on himself, even when others doubt him.
And it's not just about music either. He even talks about this trip he took to Africa, where he was really struck by the level of poverty he saw. It made him realize that his own definition of the bottom was completely skewed. It was a humbling experience for him, seeing people struggling in ways he'd never imagined.
It sounds like it.
It completely shifted his perspective and inspired him to do more to help others. He couldn't just focus on his own success anymore. He felt a responsibility to use his platform and resources to make a real difference in the world.
So what did he do?
He partnered with the World Food Program to combat hunger and poverty in Africa.
Wow.
It's a powerful example of how success can be a catalyst for giving back and using your influence for good.
Yeah, it really is. This brings us to one of the most important lessons in the book, the importance of cultivating a hustler's heart. And it's not just about the hard work and the drive. It's about finding your passion, your purpose. It's about having a fire in your belly that keeps you going, even when things get tough.
He emphasizes that a hustler's heart is fueled by internal drive and discipline, not by external motivators like money or fame. Those things might come as a result of your hustle, but they shouldn't be the primary focus.
Right. It's about finding something that you truly believe in, something that gets you out of bed in the morning excited to face the day. It's about pursuing your goals with a relentless passion and unwavering determination.
It's a powerful message that resonates with anyone who's ever had a dream they wanted to chase. It's about having the courage to take risks, to fail, to get back up and keep pushing forward.
It's about embracing the challenges and seeing them as opportunities for growth.
It's about knowing your worth, demanding what you deserve, and surrounding yourself with people who support your vision and inspire you to be your best.
And it's about using your success, however you define it, to make a positive impact on the world, to leave a legacy that extends beyond your own personal achievements.
It's about living a life of purpose, passion, and unwavering self-belief. A life where you're constantly striving to be your best self and leaving your mark on the world.
That's quite a journey we've been on with 50 Cent's story. And we're not even done yet. Stick with us as we dive into the final part of Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, and uncover even more insights about what it takes to build a legacy that truly matters. It's amazing how open 50 Cent is about his struggles with fear, especially when it comes to betrayal. You know, for someone with such a tough exterior, it makes you realize that everyone has their vulnerabilities, no matter how successful or powerful they seem.
Yeah, it's refreshing to hear someone in his position speak so candidly about those anxieties, right? He actually traces that fear back to his childhood.
Yeah.
You know, losing his mother at such a young age, it makes sense that it would have a lasting impact on his ability to trust.
He even says that for a long time. The only thing he truly trusted was money. It's a pretty powerful statement when you think about it.
Absolutely. But it's interesting how he also talks about learning to manage that fear and building healthier relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. You know, he emphasizes surrounding yourself with the right people, a crew you can rely on, even if it takes time to find them.
And he doesn't shy away from the fact that building a strong crew isn't always easy. He's had his fair share of challenges and has learned that not everyone has your best interests at heart.
Right, he uses those experiences to illustrate the importance of being a discerning leader. He talks about how he's had to adapt his approach depending on the person and the situation. Like with Bang-Em, he had to set firm boundaries. But with Omari Hardwick, he took a more supportive and encouraging approach.
So there's no one-size-fits-all approach to leadership. You have to be adaptable and understand the individual needs of the people you're working with.
Exactly. And it makes me think about how he describes his relationship. With Chris Lightly, his manager, that seemed to be a real turning point for him. In terms of learning to trust again.
They had a really strong bond, built on mutual respect and a shared vision, and 50 Cent really relied on him, so losing Lightly so tragically was a huge blow. It forced him to confront those deep-seated fears of betrayal all over again.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of success, life can throw you curveballs. And sometimes those painful experiences force you to reevaluate your priorities and what truly matters.
He even talks about rewriting his will to include Lightly's daughter, Tiffany, after his death. It speaks volumes about the depth of their connection and his loyalty to the people he cared about.
It's a really touching gesture that shows a different side of him, the side that values those genuine connections, despite his fear of being hurt. It makes you wonder, though, if he truly let go of those defenses after Lightly's death, or if he retreated further into that self-reliance he talks so much about.
That's a really good point. It seems like there's this constant push and pull between his desire for connection and his need to protect himself.
That
brings us back to his whole stance on the entitlement trap and the importance of self-reliance. He's so adamant about taking responsibility for your own life and not expecting handouts. He sees entitlement as a weakness, something that prevents people from reaching their full potential. It's about having that internal drive and knowing that you have to earn your success, not just wait for it to be given to you.
He even tells this story about when he was struggling financially, and his aunt and uncle offered him money to help him get back on his feet. But he refused their help because he wanted to figure things out on his own, even when it was hard.
That shows a strong sense of pride and determination. He wasn't going to let his circumstances define him. He was going to make his own way, even if it meant starting from scratch.
And he connects this to his observation that immigrants often have this hustler's spirit because they come from cultures where self-reliance is essential for survival.
Right. They often arrive with limited resources and support systems. So they have to be resourceful, resilient, and work incredibly hard to create a better life for themselves and their families. He sees that same spirit in people from low-income backgrounds who have to hustle to make ends meet and overcome the challenges of poverty. It's about having that hunger to improve your situation and being willing to put in the work, even when it seems like the odds are stacked against you.
It's a real testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt and thrive, even in the most difficult circumstances. And, he emphasizes that this work ethic isn't just about starting your own business. It's about showing up on time, being reliable, and taking pride in whatever you do, even if you're working for someone else.
It's about building a reputation as someone who can be counted on, someone who goes the extra mile. It's about developing those qualities that make you a valuable asset, no matter where you are in life.
And it's about recognizing that the world is constantly changing and being willing to adapt and evolve, to stay ahead of the curve. He uses the example of Lloyd Banks again to illustrate this. Banks got stuck in a specific era of hip-hop and refused to change with the times, which ultimately limited his success.
It's a classic example of what can happen when you become complacent and resistant to change. You become a Banks, as 50 Cent puts it.
Right. And he contrasts that with his own approach of constantly pushing himself to grow and evolve, whether it's his music, his business ventures, or even his public image. He understands that to stay relevant and achieve lasting success, you have to be adaptable and embrace new challenges.
It's almost like he's saying change is inevitable, so you might as well learn to ride the wave instead of getting swept under by it.
And that ties back to his point about knowing your worth and not being afraid to demand what you deserve. He's a big believer in having confidence in your abilities and not settling for less than your worth, whether it's in a business deal, a creative collaboration, or even a personal relationship.
He tells that great story about negotiating a deal for his G-Unit clothing line and refusing to accept a lowball offer from a major retailer. He knew he could get a better deal elsewhere, and he wasn't afraid to walk away from the table.
It takes a lot of guts to do that, especially when there's a lot of money on the line. But it shows that he understands his value and isn't willing to compromise his principles or his vision for a quick payout.
It's a powerful reminder that you have to believe in yourself and your worth, even when others try to undervalue you. And he also stresses the importance of having everything in writing, especially in business dealings. He's learned the hard way that verbal agreements and handshakes aren't always enough.
Yeah, he's all about having clear contracts that protect everyone's interests and ensure that everything is transparent and above board. It's about building trust and setting the foundation for successful, mutually beneficial partnerships.
So when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter isn't just a guide to business success. It's a roadmap for living a life of purpose, passion, and unwavering self-belief. It's about overcoming adversity, embracing challenges, and constantly striving to be the best version of yourself.
It's about setting goals, working tirelessly to achieve them, and never settling for mediocrity. It's about learning from your mistakes, adapting to change, and surrounding yourself with a crew that supports your vision and pushes you to grow.
It's about knowing your worth, demanding what you deserve, and never giving up on your dreams, no matter how big or audacious they may seem.
It's a message that resonates across all aspects of life, from your career to your relationships, your personal growth, and your impact on the world.
It's a powerful reminder that success is a journey, not a destination. It's about the effort you put in, the resilience you show in the face of setbacks, and the impact you have on the people around you.
It's a call to action, to embrace the hustle, to find your passion, to build your crew, and to never stop striving for greatness, whatever that means to you.
So there you have it. Our deep dive into 50 Cent's Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter is complete. We hope you found this exploration as insightful and thought-provoking as we did. If you haven't already, definitely check out the book. There's so much wisdom packed into its pages. It's a must-read for anyone who's looking to level up their hustle, achieve their goals, and live a life of purpose and impact.
Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep hustling, keep learning, and keep striving to be the best version of yourself.